Hello and welcome to this Modurol video about Jaguar XK8 and in particular the pre-production cars. Now I've been lucky enough to find a pre-production car for sale locally, so I decided to go and take a look at it. So in this video we're going to explain to you what is a pre-production car, what VIN numbers that references to, what's actually different about the pre-production cars. And we're going to actually view that car and try and look for differences. The car we're going to see is actually number 158 out of 90,616 built. So it's extremely early, but we need to confirm that, and I'll show you how I confirm it is a genuine car. We'll talk a little bit about this particular car's condition, and finally, if you do want to buy this very, very early XK8, please contact us at the channel. So we come out to sunny Borth to check out this Aquamarine very early Jaguar XK8. It needs a bit of TLC, but it is one of the first pre-production build cars, as we'll verify from the VIN number. It's also in a very good spec, very unusual interior colour. Okay, so let's start with the explanation of what is a pre-production car, specifically Jaguar XK8s. So these are basically one of three categories. So we've either got factory press cars, which are basically vehicles used by Jaguar's media relations team at brownslane for early journalist road tests. Dealer demonstrators, these are early display cars sent to main dealers under strict instructions to be kept under wraps until the autumn launch. And then thirdly, internal engineering and marketing evaluation. Now, these are cars used by the senior Jaguar executives to assess the final assembly quality and showcase the builds. So I found some examples of these cars using a copy of Sovereign magazine from 1996. Now this actually is basically all about Jaguar XK8s, and I don't know if they can see there. They've chosen various people, famous people, to drive and demonstrate the cars and make a bit of a write-up. Now, using this, I can actually trace who drove what car just in this text, and we've got like half a dozen, which I'll share with you now. So looking at here, there are basically 5 examples shown in the magazine. So we got Nick Faldo, Richard Branson, Yasmin Le Bon and Jackie Stewart, all driving various iterations of the car. Now you can see here the various registrations I've picked out of the magazine to sort of associate particular cars with particular famous people, which helps a little bit with the history and the backstory of the car. There is one particularly very famous car, P40 RAM, which actually was owned by Princess Diana, and I think that actually is still a Jaguar Heritage. Out of all these cars, the only one that still exists is that car. This shows you how unusual this particular car is. Okay, so what are the VIN numbers we need to be concerned about with these pre-production cars? So looking at the Jaguar Heritage VIN number registered document, which can be found on our website www.modurol.co.uk, you can see the first VIN number. The first VIN number starts 001001 or 1001, and that car was built in February. If we then look at the lower part of that document, it then mentions that June 1996, cars with VIN 001246 onwards were actually 1997 model year. So basically the difference then, the number of pre-production cars, is the difference between the 1001 to the 1246. So that is 245 cars, which were all model year 1996. Those are actually classed as pre-production cars. They were built, in theory, according to this document, between February and June 1996, before the official launch in October. So what is the difference when you look at those cars? The engine compartment looks pretty standard. There's a bit of trim missing here because they've been changing coil packs, but that's all present. It all looks very similar. We've got the silver vacuum actuator on the top of the throttle body. Everything looks similar to 1997 model year. You know, we've got the plastic caps. The ABS cover looks like it should be there, but that's gone missing. I say plastic. We've got one of these bolts is missing. Yeah, nothing particularly unusual. And we've got the rain deflector plastics on the top of the headlamp. Well, this headlamp looks like it's had a bit of a temporary fix. Looking underneath, I've also noticed the rear back boxes actually have a part number welded on an additional plate. So it makes me wonder whether these are actually coming off and maybe an XJ, and Jaguar have just welded this plate on to discriminate the different pipes either end. So does that denote a special feature for these pre-production cars? So how do I confirm this particular car is genuine? So looking at the VIN number of this pre-production XK8, we've got 1158. So looking at the Jaguar Heritage certificate, so production started in 1001, and pre-production cars, or cars to be sold to the public, started 12/4/1246 in June 1996 according to this, and that was the 1997 model year. So this therefore is a 1996 model year. But interestingly, when we look at the build date code, GL, so G is the month, July. Obviously the year is 1996, but this is July. Now, according to the Jaguar Heritage car, it can't be, because this started in June 1996. So this shows how important it is to view the actual car. So June 1996 was not 1246, because they hadn't finished this pre-production car. There's still GL here, July. Further looking at the spec, here we got JGY, which I believe is this aquamarine metallic, and the trim HDX, which is the teal interior, which is quite an early interior trim colour, and not one that was very popular, so it's a quite rare colour combination. So having confirmed the VIN number, we can also look at the registration number. Now this particular car has a private registration on it, VIL 8525 from Northern Ireland. It's a way of hiding the registration or the year of manufacture. But in this case, it's quite useful to display that. So we found this document in the history. This is an MOT showing both the new and the original registration number, P796HVC. And there is also in the documents a transfer of registration mark V317 document, which clearly shows the registration changing from P796HVC to VIL 8525. So when we look at this original registration, P796HVC, we find some commonality with the suffix as used in one of those cars we found in the Sovereign magazine. One of the Yasmin Le Bon cars actually has the same suffix. So when I investigated that further, actually VC is the suffix as used in cars registered in Coventry. Further, looking at the pre-delivery record of this car, which is actually from the 9th of August 1996, you can see the stamp is actually the stamp of Jaguar Cars Limited, Service Department, Brownslane, actually where the cars were built. Further to that, the first and the second stamps after the pre-delivery were also stamped by Jaguar Cars Limited, Service Department, Brownslane, actually within the car manufacturer itself. So for at least 12 months, the car was used by Jaguar Cars. So I suggest it was probably a senior manager's car. Further to that, actually the third year service, or the third service, was actually done at a main dealer, Holling Drake in Stockport. Now that wasn't done till March 1999, so that potentially is probably the first service as it's sold to the public. So in theory, this car may well have been within Jaguar since 1996 to into 1999, so almost 3 years. So what is the condition like of number 158? Well, unfortunately, it's not as good as it could be. The positives are it's had some bodywork done. Outside of the car, it looks really good. It's had the recent respray. The back arches are all good. The sills, in theory, look good. Further, it was on the road. It did have an MOT up until this year. It was on the road last year. And it's relatively unmolested. It's not been messed with too much, other than people trying to make repairs. The negatives, though, it has failed its MOT, and there are several points it's failed on. The ECU is out of the car and it needs repairing. And the car overall really needs a bit of TLC. There are some parts missing, but nothing really critical. Looking at the MOT then, it failed in April 2026 at the mileage of 106,498 miles on some relatively minor points, but they are critical repair items. So if we review them one by one, so we've got the horn isn't working, which should be a relatively easy fix. It's either completely rusted out or it's a wiring issue. I don't expect that's a big problem. The anti-lock braking system warning light is on. I suspect that's the dry joint issue within the ABS module. It's a DIY fix. The front passenger door cannot be opened from the outside of the vehicle. The door seems to be relatively okay. I think it might be some mechanical problems inside the mechanism. Again, a relatively easy fix. And there is actually a second-hand lock actually in the car ready to be fitted. There's a bit of welding needs doing near side rear inner suspension component mounting prescribed area. I think that's a bit of a hole in the sill. Exhaust lambda reading after second fast idle outside specific limits. I think that might be the start of the ECU issue. Once the ECU is repaired, that might go away, or it could well be an O2 sensor or just a hole in the exhaust. And then finally, out of the repair immediately, the parking brake efficiency. So it might need some new brake shoes or the shoes adjusting. I mean, those brake shoes get very little use. Chances are it's maybe gummed up. The car just needs TLC. There is a monitor and repair if necessary advisories. Front upper suspension pin or bush worn, not resulting in excessive movement. Yeah, that's quite common. That's the front suspension iron bushes. That's easily be poly bushed. Offside front tyre, yeah, okay. Tyres, rear seat belts couldn't be tested. When I viewed the car, the back seats are covered in bits, so they haven't been able to get at them. Chances they're okay. Rear axle corroded, they're all corroded. I don't think it's a big issue. Front coil spring, rear coil spring, both corroded. Again, not a big issue. It can easily be dealt with, painted. I've looked a bit deeper into the MOT, and I'll say it has failed this year, but the previous years it looks to have. There are some failures, but it looks relatively minor. There's not this sort of MOT history doesn't wave lots of red flags. I mean, the car is 30 years old, so there's, yeah, what have we got? Exhaust, tyres, no big major issues. The MOT history wouldn't put me off. So looking at the interior, we've got quite unique. We've got this teal, this green interior with matching carpets and plastics. This is quite rare. I've only seen one other with this spec, and it's quite good. You can see also we've got Harman Kardon premium audio. I don't think the gear stick is standard. Everything else seems pretty normal. You've got the classic interior as well. Looking at the back window, we've got the main dealer sticker here, Dunham, Wellington Road, North Stockport. So this potentially was given to these guys to demonstrate as a demonstrator. Okay, there you go. There's a quick explanation of what is a pre-production car and a view of a very, very early example. You can see it's not without its own issues picking up a very early car, but hopefully somebody will save it and they'll save me buying it. Anyway, if you like this type of video and you like Jaguar XK8, please subscribe to our channel and follow us on Facebook, etc. Anyway, thanks very much for now, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.